I'm a traumatic brain injury survivor, and this is one of my experiences. I'm gonna be honest, I'm having a hard time today, and I'm having a hard time sharing these experiences because in order for me to share them, I have to relive them. So when I relived my death, it took 3.5 years later. Why? Because my brainstem needed to wake back up. That was a very intense experience for me. I don't care what the doctors say. I know what I experience, and I know what I feel, and I know where things are in the body. And so the brainstem is the most primitive part of our body, and it regulates sleep, body movement, breath, heart rate. And there is some speculation and research in medical journals that says that our consciousness resides there. With that being said, when it woke back up, my body started doing what I called, or what the doctors called, non-epileptic seizures. I started shaking like this violently for about a month, but it would only happen the moment I'd get off my phone and try to go to sleep. It would only happen the moment I would actively try to close my eyes and sleep. Remember, the brainstem regulates sleep. The brainstem regulates body movement. Okay? So fast forward. After that month, my body shifted into what I call contortions, where my body was moving in its own intention and its own divinity and its own knowledge. This is when I truly learned what surrender and flow is, because this was the most painful thing I've ever been through, and my body was literally putting myself back together, and it was clearing trauma. How do I know? Because I was reliving the trauma, and when it cleared out, I felt it leave, and I felt release, and I felt relief. Now, when I relived my death, I was in a hotel room, and I had already been contorting for 30 minutes. My neck was red, I was on the toilet, and I was really having an existential crisis. And I heard a voice that was so loud, and it said inside of my head, "When you died." And it was so loud, it was as if I was in a school auditorium by myself, and somebody came on over the intercom and said, "When you died." And I was like, whoa, who the hell are you, first of all? And I didn't die. And it said, "Yes, you did. It was when your head turned." And I said, "My head didn't turn." And then it said, "Go look at the video." Now, you've all seen the video. There is a point when I do this and that. And that is when I went to the other side. So I laid down. I had already started recording my contortions because I felt they needed to be researched. I did have an EEG done. They were not seizures, okay? I had the proper testing done. But what happened here is I laid down, I put my phone underneath a lamp that was an orange light. It's the only light that was on in the entire room. I laid down, and my body's doing a lot of head flipping. It's doing a lot of pulling me forward and extending from my fingers and stretch and a lot of things, okay? And in the video, you see me, and this video is posted, so you can find it. It says "When I relived my death." And I come back like this, and my head was facing the light. And I even said, "What are you moving me to?" And when I went there, it was the hottest, brightest light I had ever seen or felt. And I started coming back like this, and I said, "That light is not that bright." And I barely get it out, and my eyes are closed. And I come over here, and it's the darkest dark, coldest cold I've ever felt on my left. And when I start coming back, I breathe out, and I come back over here, and again. And I do this 3 times, okay? And what happens is I had no sense of humanity. I just had comfort and peace, like I was home. Now, I've walked back through that a million times in my head. Where was I? What was I experiencing? Well, I believe I was next to a star, like our sun, in the universe. Because if I was next to our sun and it was on my right, it would be the hottest, brightest light I'd ever seen or felt. And what would be on my left? The dark, cold vastness of space. This moment changed me forever, because you really start to have a real understanding of how close I was to not being on this planet anymore. And it really gave me a greater understanding to be able to find peace and gratitude in my breath as a reminder to love myself. I hope this perspective helps somebody else. The next video will be me sharing the 4th brain injury. and then we'll get back to the regularly scheduled program. I got a lot of other videos and a lot of good messages and perspectives to share with you this month. So thank you for hanging in there through this story. It's important. It is important. So I hope this perspective helps somebody else. Be well, my friends.